Welcome to Campfire Academy. I'm Andrew Craissati. Today, we're talking about a modern makeover for investor communications.
How do you think investors react these days to traditional IR formats like PDFs and long reports?
When you look at investor relations in today's world, the traditional supply of information is still important. I hear a lot of feedback about how people still go to the back of an annual report and study the financials as a key part of the process of understanding a public company. The role, therefore, of this information is still there. The problem is that important information at the back of the report is accompanied by 75 pages that come first, which have been very much sanitized and scrubbed carefully in order to be of a technically perfect, legally perfect nature, but leave out a lot of context.
What shifts in investor behavior or technology are driving the need for a more modern approach to investor communications?
When you look at the behavior of investors today, they are benefiting from an immediacy of information that is poured towards them. We have all these portals that gather financial information, aggregate them and present them to investors. We have all the well-known online investment platforms that are also aggregating information and presenting it. This is really different from 20, 30 years ago, when the only information that you relied upon was a traditional, perhaps quarterly or semi-annual flow of the written document. So this new technology that is aggregating content means that investors can behave in a more short-term and more immediate way, and they can react more efficiently to the actions or behavior of a company that they're interested in. The company itself needs to keep up with that change, and they need to be in control as much as possible over the flow of information. Having a tool that is at their disposal that pushes information out to the investors on an as-needed basis, that is swift, easy to turn around, that is what's going to be extremely valuable to investor communications going forward.
How does audio change the experience or the outcomes compared to traditional formats?
It's interesting to think about audio when you're comparing it with these traditional formats of the written word, or even the visual through a video, for example. We know through research that audio is the most impactful and most intimate of all media. In all the surveys and scientific research being done, the two attributes that keep coming through are authenticity and integrity. Audio allows not just that intimate experience to come across, but it also doesn't require the audience to be looking at a screen. By its very nature, audio lends itself to multitasking. So whether you're in the gym, driving your car, walking the dog, or going away for the weekend with your family, the audio experience is the perfect way to be performing another task while consuming this important information.
What are the biggest misconceptions that IR teams have about modernizing communication?
The world of investor communications and its management by IR teams is in a universe that is still not fully modernized. And that comes from just the tradition of how the written word has always played an important role. It's quite likely that a lot of this stems from fear that modernizing communication somehow means that the investor relations team loses control over what the content is. What is important to understand with a more modern form of communication is that editorially and curation-wise, the company, the public company in question, is still completely in control of what the content is and how it is shaped and the tone of voice that comes with it. So modernizing the method of distribution and the technology that is utilized does not mean that you are losing control of the content. And in fact, by modernizing, you are in fact getting even closer to your control over the editorial aspect of information flows, particularly if you think about something that is extremely critical or time sensitive, such as a company that is in crisis and is trying to reputationally manage a situation.
When you talk about them being in control of their message internally, are there any misconceptions around that adding more workload that you'd like to address here?
The role of modernizing the communications, whether that's a new tool set or it's using audio, obviously puts added stress on the IR team. There's more work involved in the process. However, if you are looking at a situation that is a critical moment, whether that is reputationally or whether that is crisis-driven, then the IR team is there to manage that crisis. They, in all likelihood, will have outsourced firms that are assisting them in their comms strategy and their editorial strategy. So the resources, while one wants to be mindful of it, what it's really doing is it's allowing you to keep in control of everything and not, for example, to allow the media to dictate the story, but rather to allow you to retain control of the story.
Could you share a case or a moment where a company's storytelling approach directly improved investor understanding or investor trust in the company?
There is clearly a correlation between storytelling and the trust that is built between a company and its audience of shareholders, analysts, and the like. Storytelling can fall into two categories, if you will. One is the dry flow of information that is purely financial, that lacks context, that is a simple discussion on, for example, the quarterly financial results of that company. Storytelling allows the company to then build context. And in this modern world of media, where everything is not only instant, but also where much of the information is fake in nature or is reconstituted, the ability to control the storytelling, to build your context around facts, is even more important than it's ever been. And so if you are in crisis, or if you are trending in a particular way as a publicly quoted share, then having the ability to contextualize what you're going through will build not just a better understanding by the investor, but it will build trust, it will build integrity, and the audience will therefore increasingly believe not only what the company says, but it will believe in the future of the company.
What would you say is the single biggest takeaway that you'd want an IR leader to remember from this conversation?
When we think about the notion of investor communications and needing a modern makeover, it's really important that the investor relations team leader remembers the importance of building the sense of authenticity and integrity with the audience. Having tools that deliver that more intimate experience that allows you to build context is absolutely critical. We live in a world, particularly at the moment, where life is polarized, political views are polarized, the news is categorized into fake and true, and with no guidance on which is which. So having the ability to control your own destiny by being agile in the flow of information and creating your own content that is unique and more contextualized will give you the upper hand. This has been Campfire Academy, an Audi production. To learn more about how you can capture investor attention and stay top of mind, visit audi.com.